Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for having us and, of course, for joining this session. Quick introduction. So, my name is Taylor Reynolds. I am one of the recruiters for Memorial Hermann Health System. We each have a recruiter for essentially every region of the greater Houston area. So, there's myself, who's over our North region, which includes our Cypress campus, Memorial City, Greater Heights, the Woodlands, and Northeast. We have our other recruiter, Taylor Morrell, who will be over our South region, kind of our Southwest region. It'll be Katy, Southeast, Pearland, Southwest, and Sugarland. We have our children's recruiter, so TMC Children's, which will be Amber Sangill. And then we also have Madison Campbell, who will be over our Tier and Katy Rehab campuses, and then our Texas Medical Center campus, but the adult side. So 4 recruiters, which is pretty easy. And then you'll probably see Lexi pop in as well. She's one of our cohort coordinators who helps support us. So the good thing is when you do apply, it'll be a very small team that you get to work with. So very easy communication. Now we are going to discuss the spring 2024 cohort for our nurse residency programs. We'll jump right into it. So a quick touch on our mission. Memorial Hermann Health System is a nonprofit, values-driven, community-owned health system dedicated to improving health. And our vision is to create healthier communities now and for generations to come. So a little bit about our system by the numbers. We do have roughly 1.7 million patient encounters a year. We do, or not a year, but up until the time that we've been serving. We have served for 115 years for our communities. That'll be the entire greater Houston area. Over 4,200 life flight missions. You'll see that we do have over 29,000 employees, over 6,700 active medical staff, over 4,000 licensed beds. So really big system. And the good thing about our system is no matter where you're located within the greater Houston area, I can guarantee we have a campus right down the road. So it makes it very easy as when it comes to commutes or just kind of trying to ensure that you have that work-life balance and having, your employment in an area that you're still able to have the life that you want to live, especially if you have children. I always say that's always easy. Okay, so a little bit about our nursing professional practice model. You'll see at the center, patient and family always come first. You'll hear this time and time again. And then from there, community, we serve our diverse community with a focus on quality and patient safety. Compassion, so through diversity and inclusivity, we care for everyone with kindness and respect. Credibility, we provide credible evidence and research to improve quality of care and patient outcomes. And then courage, we have the courage to advance and grow professionally through leadership and governance. So you'll actually see as well that these are our 4 core values. And I typically say, if you were able to, join with our system, there's typically one value that really kind of sticks with you the most. For mine, it's community. That really goes down to, not only having campuses within, all areas of the greater Houston area serving the diverse community, but even just with our teams, even my team specifically, even though it's not on the clinical side, we really are a family. That's one thing you'll hear from each unit is they all refer to themselves as a family, and they all support each other in that way, which I think is really great and it goes a long way. So some nursing awards and recognition. We do have some campuses that are magnet recognized. So the magnet recognition program evaluates healthcare organizations for quality patient care, nursing excellence, and innovation in the professional nursing practice. And the magnet recognition is the highest possible organizational credential granted by the ANCC. That's going to be the American Nurses Credentialing Center. And it is the largest and most prominent nursing credentialing organization in the U.S. So to earn this status, you do have to excel in several areas, including nursing standards and practices, patient care, and innovations in nursing leadership and management. So we currently have 8 hospitals that have earned that magnet recognition, so we're very proud of that. That'll be our Greater Heights campus, Memorial City, Katy, Southeast, Southwest, Sugarland, our Texas Medical Center, and the Woodlands. And we have a few others that are on that track to earn their magnet status. Now, our system nurse residency program is designated by the American Nurses Credentialing Center, so the ANCC Practice Transition Program. And we are awarded the accreditation with distinction, which is the highest recognition awarded by the ANCC. And one thing that we love to call out is that we are the only ANCC accredited program with distinction as a system in the Houston area. Now, our program is for the new graduate nurses, and it offers a comprehensive 12-month transition to practice program aimed at providing support, resources, and education to newly licensed nurses as they transition through their first year of practice. And with that 12-month program, you will receive a blended learning program, meaning that you have an opportunity to engage in self-paced learning and interactive hands-on learning. So a lot of support from your leaders and your education team. And so if you feel that you need additional help in one area, you have an educator there to help support that. And if you reach those 12 months and you still feel that you're kind of iffy on one area, they're also there to help ensure that when you reach that point of graduation, you feel good and confident. Now, our program does bring on, the number has actually increased, over 900 newly licensed registered nurses each year system-wide. So we have 3 cohorts a year. We do have 13 of our campuses that participate in the nurse residency program. We have a multitude of clinical specialties, so everything from acute care to all of our critical care, ER, ICU, IMUs, women's services, and then we also have OR. And we do, again, accept the newly licensed nurses 3 times a year. So we have our spring, summer, and fall cohorts. Now, with our program, it is designed, the first step is to allow you to transition into practice with increased resources and strong coaching support to help develop and demonstrate professional practice qualities and clinical leadership at the bedside, to help strengthen the professional career choice, and then develop clinical competency and strong critical thinking skills in the chosen specialty. So essentially through this 12-month program, this is really what we kind of fall back on to help you ensure that you do come out as a successful graduate nurse. Okay, so a little bit about our fellowship program. Now to kind of backtrack, we have our nurse residency, which is for that newly graduated and newly licensed nurse. And then once you've completed 1 year of nursing experience, we have our fellowship program. So it's a great way to then continue your career and continue growing your skill set in a new specialty area. So our fellowship program does provide a structured, comprehensive path for currently licensed registered nurses to learn and train to develop quality care in a new nursing specialty. Now this again can be for any graduate nurse who's completed their 1 year, or it could also be for a nurse who has, let's say over 10 years, and they're looking to now go from, let's say they're in the ICU setting for that amount of time. Well, they're now ready to jump into women's services, but they don't necessarily have those basic fundamentals for that area. And so this is a great way to provide you that support and that education to ensure that you are successful in that new area. It is a 4-month program. We do also offer it 3 times a year, spring, summer, and fall. So essentially for a new graduate nurse, as you complete your 1 year, you can jump right into the fellowship program and you can begin that new area. Especially if you do have that, you want to start with your with an acute care med-surg unit, get those basic fundamentals, and then jump into specialty. Great transition to be able to do so. We do have it in our critical care areas, so ICU and IMU, our cath lab, our emergency department, women's services, including NICU, trauma services, and then our medicine units as well. So medical IMU and medical ICU. So a little bit about the benefits that our system does provide. So not only the system, but the program. So our benefits exist to support employees at work, at home, and in their personal lives. So whether you're looking for more balance, you need help managing stress, or need help navigating finances, we've got it covered. We do have day 1 benefits. So there's no 30-day wait period or anything like that. If you need that coverage, you have it day 1. We have generous PTO, personal days, and a spiritual holiday. And then we have some really great well-being programs, which include Noom, Headspace, Wealthy, and our employee assistance program. And then the piece that I love the most, now whether you're a nursing student who is wanting to continue their education, or let's say you now have student loans that you want to go ahead and start paying off, we have a few different programs. So the student loan repayment is not listed on this particular slide, but we do have it available. But for those wanting to continue their education, we have our Learn Well reimbursement program. which is where our system will reimburse tuition and eligible expenses paid by full-time and part-time employees who are enrolled in an accredited degree and certification programs. So the great thing about these is not only is it for an additional degree, but it could also be for certain certifications as well. And we have our Learn Well Direct Payment Program. So this is where the system will provide a virtual credit card during the application process to full-time and part-time employees to use towards tuition and eligible expenses for accredited degrees or certification programs. And then we also have our Learn Well No Cost program. I think this one is great. It kind of takes the stress away from continuing school and having those the finances that come up, along with it. So Memorial Hermann has partnered with a number of institutions to pay tuition for full-time and part-time employees pursuing clinical associate's degrees, clinical certificates, and RN to BSN degrees. So this is where the system will actually pay the school directly each fiscal year for those semesters. So it's a great way just to kind of have it already taken care of and you're not waiting for that reimbursement. Now to jump into a little bit about our upcoming cohort. So we call it the Spring 2024 cohort. It's essentially designed for December graduates or those that may be graduating, let's say, end of October or November or even early January, just depending on what the graduating classes are. And it's for a start date of February 2024. Now we do have our pre-match day virtual open houses that were going on this week, August 28th through September 1st. Which is really just a chance for you to learn about each campus and their participating units. They're all held via Zoom, and we do have them each cohort. And then the most important date, our applications are going to open September 3rd, so this Sunday, and they will close on September 15th. So you'll want to make sure that you do get those applications in within that time period, or you will miss out on your chance to apply. And best practice is to apply as soon as possible, preferably during that first week. That way we can really ensure that we get your applications over to the hiring managers in a timely manner. Now between the date of September 4th and the 18th, so essentially the month of September, we as the recruiting team will be processing all the applications and passing them over to the hiring managers for review. So in between this period, you'll either receive a communication from us that says, hey, your application was completed, it's been processed, accordingly, and now we're just awaiting the hiring manager's decision. Or it'll be something that says, hey, this was done incorrectly, please submit X, Y, and Z to have it done, to have it corrected, and then we can process from there. Now, if you are selected to interview, you can expect to interview the week of October 2nd through October 6th. That'll be our first match week. So match week is just the week designated for those initial first round interviews. And let's say you are not offered an interview or you're possibly just not offered a seat after that interview. We will then have you interview that second week if selected, which is going to be October 16th through October 20th. We can kind of touch on that again in just a moment. Now, after you do interview feedback will be shared as soon as possible, typically once the unit interviews for all candidates are complete. Now, if a unit interviews all in one day and they're able to provide us same day feedback, we'll try and get that out as soon as possible. But best practice is just to allow for at least 4 business days to receive the feedback, solely because each campus and each unit is a little bit different. Some will interview over a 2-day period. Some may take the whole week. So it really just depends. But once we do have that feedback, we'll send it out. And then if you are not selected for your first choice, you will be reviewed for your second choice once the first match day concludes. But important note here is this is only if those seats are still available and if the manager selects you. So sometimes after that first round of interviews, some seats that may not have a large amount may fill up. And so if that was your second selection, you may not be able to interview for that specific area. However, we will continue to let you know what is still available, and we'll try to set you up within the same service line or even just within the same campus. So always monitor your email communication, text message communication, and we'll be sure to get all the information out to you. Now, application criteria. So to submit the application and to view FAQs in our events, so kind of like the open houses that are currently going on, you'll be able to visit our jobs page, so our nurse residency jobs page. You can also use that QR code to be sent directly over there. And then you can also follow us on Facebook to be able to see live updates. So when our applications drop, if we have any potential hiring events that are coming up, all of that you'll be able to see if you do follow on Facebook. Now for our program, what are the minimum qualifications and requirements to apply? You do have to have a nursing GPA of 3.0 or above. This will be the nursing GPA, not the cumulative. And then you do have to have your BSN degree, or if you are an ADN, you must be working towards that BSN degree. 70% of our nurses are BSN prepared. So it is a system-wide requirement that you do obtain that BSN within 3 years of employment. And then in order to actually start with us, so it's not required to apply, but it's required if you receive an offer and you accept. The next step would be, in order to actually start with us, you do have to successfully pass that NCLEX and obtain your Texas RN license, or if you have a compact state license, that will work as well. And then you do have to have an active, up-to-date copy of your basic life support certification through American Heart Association. Okay, so how to apply. So to be considered for the nurse residency program, you do have to complete our online application. This is going to be one job posting, again, that will open up on September 3rd. So one job posting for all locations and all specialties. Now, when you apply to this position, it'll only, again, be that one application, but within it, you'll have the opportunity to make your first choice selection for your campus and unit, and then your second choice selection. But please note that, if those first two selections don't work out, this application is still going to be valid for all other locations and specialties. So we'll be able to continue to use that one. And it's also recommended that you use your personal email when you apply, just because a lot of school emails will eventually become inactive, and it's very hard for us to track down the correct channel of communication. So try and use that personal email. One required piece when you go into the application is going to be your resume. So when you do go in, there's going to be a submission box, and you actually can't move forward unless you do submit something there. Now, if you have transcripts or letters of recommendation, you can include them in there as well. But please ensure that you do actually drop the resume, if anything. So you don't have to include transcripts or letters of recommendation. Those are optional, but that resume will be required. And if you don't have it, your application will not be reviewed. Now, if you meet the nurse residency program qualifications, again, you'll receive an email from one of the recruiters saying, hey, you've been processed appropriately, or, B, we'll have to, correct it in some shape or form. And you'll also receive an email from our reliaslearning.com. This is going to be a behavioral assessment that our leaders use essentially as a best fit tool. So it's not pass or fail. But it is going to be a required part of the application process. And so once you do receive this, try and get it completed as soon as possible. One thing to remember is this may get sent to your junk or spam inbox, so be sure to monitor that as well. And then just a reminder for any current employees, if you are working with us already, you will just apply through our internal job board rather than going through the external route. Now, once you've applied and you are selected to interview, a recruiter will reach out to you with those specific dates, locations, and instructions. Now, depending on the campus and also depending on the unit, the interviews may be conducted virtually or in person. So be sure to just review those invites very carefully to ensure that the time slot you are selecting is actually a time that you can attend. We do have a lot of times candidates who will select a time slot knowing that they aren't actually available. And if you do that and you are noted as a no-show, that will affect your ability to re-interview. So go ahead and ensure that you can actually attend that day. And then if spring or if our cohort at the time doesn't work for you, we are able to bring you on at other times throughout the year. So again, we have our spring, summer, and fall cohorts. So if you want to either take a break or let's say graduation gets delayed, no problem. We can go ahead and get you set up for that next cohort and you'll be able to reapply then. Now, when you go into the application, you'll have that opportunity to select your first choice campus and unit and your second choice campus and unit. These are the first and second choice are what you'll be considered for when it comes to our match weeks. So that first match week will be your first choice selection. And then if you're not offered an interview or you're not offered a seat, your second choice will then be considered for that second match week. So some good examples of how to correctly make those selections. You'll see here, first choice campus Southwest, and then first choice unit Neuro ICU. So if that is, your preferred campus and the unit that you're most passionate about, that is what we'll use for your first match week. And then for your second choice, if it's KD Med-Surg, that's what you'll list for your second. And if you aren't selected for Southwest Neuro ICU, we'll move on to KD Med-Surg. Now, important reminder to only list one unit. We do love, that candidates are willing to interview in multiple areas, but for application purposes, we do need it to be just one specific campus and one specific unit. You can select the same campus, like you see in example B, first choice campus Southwest, second choice or first choice unit labor and delivery, and then second choice campus Southwest, second choice unit CVIMU. So that is totally fine. And then when it comes to the unit, try to be specific when listing that unit. So many of our campuses will have a variety of acute care med-surg units as well as IMUs and ICUs. So if you do see that it says, medical ICU, neuro ICU, and surgical CV ICU, make sure that you are specifying which ICU you are actually wanting, or it will cause a delay in your application and we'll have to reach out to you for that correction to be made. Now, how to avoid those application delays. You'll see here, for example, A, they put Southwest, and then for their unit, anything. This is kind of going off of what I just mentioned. Make sure that you actually select that one unit, because if you just put anything, one, you won't be considered for that first match week, and then two, your application will be delayed, and you may not be able to reach any hiring manager in time for those first initial interviews. Same thing goes for the campus. Make sure you are actually selecting a campus that's participating. While we do have community care centers all over the greater Houston area, those specific care centers don't participate in nurse residency. It'll just be our main Texas medical campuses and then our community hospitals. So you'll just want to make sure that you review that full list. One thing to note is where to find the list of participating campuses and units will always be in the job description on that posting. So when you go into that job posting, once the applications drop, you go to the job description, and that's where you'll see that full list. If a campus isn't listed, it means they are not available. Or if you see, let's say under Katie, if you see that NICU is not listed, that means that they are also not available. So please do not go ahead and put them just for fun. If they're not there, they're not participating. And again, you will not be considered for that first round. Now, example B, going back to listing that one specific unit. We love that you are, maybe flexible or open to all areas, but we will need, just for application purposes, for you to specify that one area. Now, keep in mind, if that first and second choice don't work, that is okay. Your application will still be considered for all other opportunities that may be available. So whether that's with other campuses or even with that same campus with other units, we'll continue to send you those available opportunities, and we'll continue to set you up for whatever your selection is. Now, touching back on just a little bit of the career growth, so what to expect once you do complete that 12-month program. So when you complete your 1 year, you are eligible to transfer to any other unit or campus. So if something does come up and you end up relocating to the other side of Houston, that's okay. Like I mentioned, we have campuses all over, so you can always apply to transfer to a closer campus, or if you want to try and transfer into another unit, you can. It's not guaranteed that it'll be approved or accepted, but you do have that ability. Or, of course, again, you can apply to our fellowship program. That's going to be the 4-month program designed for nurses to obtain the skills and professional behaviors that you need for a new nursing specialty. So let's say you started in acute care med-surg, you got those basic fundamentals, those strong skills, and now you're ready to venture into ER or women's services. This is a great way to do so, and you'll be able to continue to have that support from your education team to be able to be successful in that area. So again, we do offer the fellowship 3 times a year, spring, summer, and fall. So right as you complete your 1 year, we have fellowship starting right after. You're able to transition, and it's a very smooth transition without just kind of throwing you out there and hoping for the best. Now, internal growth just across the system is encouraged and supported. So be sure to communicate with your leaders and your education team about what your career plans and aspirations are. And I can guarantee they'll help you get there. Those who actually speak up and make that known are typically the ones who get there the fastest. A leader can't help support you if they aren't sure what your goals are. So always have those conversations. And even if it's just additional, online trainings or classes or other seminars to join, we have that available to you as well. Now, this will be where you can contact us. It'll be nrp@memorialhermann.org. Again, we all, as the recruiters, monitor this inbox daily. We have a weekly rotation, so you can expect a response within 24 to 48 hours, typically 24 hours. And then as far as our jobs page, you'll see that link right there. And then I will open it up if you guys have any questions.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much, Taylor. If anybody has questions, feel free to come off mute. You should all be able to unmute yourselves, or you can put them in the chat. I'm happy to read them out instead if that's easier and more convenient for you.
I had a question. This is Chanel. I had a question on, I guess, could you provide more information kind of around what that weekly schedule looks like? Is that like an 8 to 5 program, or is it the 312s?
So it will be the 312s. So you'll have a preceptor that you're assigned to, and for the beginning of that orientation, you will kind of be on their schedule. You'll be following them. Now, I will say the first 2 weeks, go ahead and prepare for a Monday through Friday 8 to 5 schedule, just because you'll be going through our system-wide orientation, campus-specific orientation, and then just different online modules that will be taking place, during the week. But then after that, you'll transition to your 312s. And then you'll just kind of continue from there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I have another question. Just going back to the benefits programs, I guess on the reimbursement programs and the direct payment. So those are all also day one benefits?
So that's actually a great question. So for the continuing education benefits, so the Learn Well program, which will be that the reimbursement, the virtual credit card, or just the no payment, direct pay program, those are all day one benefits. But then the student loan repayment, that one, which is where our system will pay for your student loans, that will be after 6 months. And so how that program works is for clinical degrees, we pay up to $400 a month towards that loan, which is great. I highly recommend if that pertains to you, try and take advantage of that. You can only use one of those programs at a time. So if you're continuing education, you want to use that one, you won't be able to also use the loan repayment, for your previous degree. But this can also be used for degrees that are not clinical. So let's say you had a business degree before and you've obtained it within the last 5 years. That also is approved under this program. So like for myself, I've used it for my business degree, and that'll be up to $200 a month. So clinical degree is $400 and then non-clinical $200.
Okay.
And that'll be the 6 months that you do have to wait. So mark it on the calendars.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. And I'm not sure if there's a way to drop things in the chat, but we do have some additional links. But we can always just share this PowerPoint after, and then they'll be able to have those links as well.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. If you could send them to me after, I'll email them out tomorrow with the recording.
Perfect.
Kathy, do you know, I don't know if you're able to hop off mute here for a second, to talk about scholarships that would be available if students did want to take advantage of this program and then maybe go on and get their MSN from WGU?
Yes, absolutely. So WGU does have a partnership. Sorry, I don't need to come off share screen. WGU does have a partnership with Memorial Hermann. So if you decide that you want to go on and do an RN to BSN or an RN to MSN, there is, well, you guys will have a BSN, so it'd be BSN to MSN. We have several of those. And we do have a tuition savings, 10% tuition savings 5% tuition savings for employees at Memorial Hermann. There are scholarships available. I will put I actually manage the partnership. So I will put my email address in the chat. So if you guys have any questions about any of those things, you know, just want to reach out to me, we can always either email or have a quick chat about it. But yeah, we actually have quite a few. And on the WGU website, under the financial section, there's a whole area for, there's a whole site for scholarships that you can look into. So yeah, absolutely. Hopefully that answered your question, Kristen.
Perfect. Yes, that's what I was thinking. Was
One of my
like, I
favorite
know
things I
we've
learned.
got scholarships if people want to get
Yes,
an additional
yes.
degree from WGU.
One of my favorite sayings I learned a long time ago was be brief, be brilliant, and be gone. So try to be as brief as possible, but please feel free if you want to send me an email. Like I said, we can email back and forth, or I'm happy to have a chat with anybody that wants to, you know, one-on-one conversation.
Awesome. Any other questions from the group? If not, Taylor, can you remind everybody when applications open so that they can be prepared for that?
Yes, it'll be this Sunday, September 3rd, and they will close on September 15th. So about a 2-week period, but highly recommend that you apply within that first week, especially if, you know, any corrections need to be made to the application. At least you have some time to get those corrections over without missing the period of time where we send it over to the managers.
And if you are interested in the program, I also recommend my shameless plug for our career services team here. You, as a student or a graduate of WGU, you have free access to career services for life, including resume reviews. So before you submit your application, you might want to have your resume reviewed by one of our career advisors. I'll include instructions on how to do that in my email tomorrow, but you can go ahead, submit that resume for review and get it back within that week so that you can apply during the first week still. And I don't see anything else in the chat. Well, thank you so much, Taylor, for coming and talking all about the program. I'm really excited, and hopefully we'll have some good applications for you from WGU students and upcoming BSN grads.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thanks for having us. I appreciate it. And I'm very, very excited for September 3rd. And so hopefully we can definitely, you know, get some of you guys on board.
Awesome. I'll go ahead and stop the recording in case anybody